right, we are on the record. It is March 11th, 2020. This is Judge Wish, courtroom 1, session 1. Can I have the parties announce themselves for the record, please?
Elaine Fusco, State Attorney's Office.
Letitia Fowler with the Office of Public Defender.
That's the prosecutor. And then, all right. Good morning, sir. Can you tell me your name, please?
Gary Burton.
Mr. Burton, you're here in case number 2020 CF 2636AO. You are arrested pursuant to a warrant in which probable cause was previously found for grand theft third degree and dealing in stolen property. And I'll appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you in your case. So you may not return back to 1414 Cool Avenue. That's the Orlando Health or Orlando Regional Medical Center. And you may not return back to the Walmart at 3100 West Princeton Street. No contact with any victims or witnesses. I do have to advise you that you do have reporting requirements if you need to comply with those while you're at the Orange County Jail. If you have questions about that, you can speak with Ms. Fowler. As it relates to the bond will be stayed at $1,000 and $2,500 as set in the warrant.
And Your Honor, will the court consider a bond reduction?
No. If you want to put testimony on, but just asking me to consider without any evidence presented, then the answer would be no.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll take testimony.
Okay, can you please raise your right hand to be sworn in? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Gary Wayne Burton.
Are you currently employed?
Yes.
Where are you employed?
I work for a temp agency.
And how much do you make?
I make $50 a day,
How many days do you work per week?
anywhere in between 2 and 3 days per week.
Do you have any money in a savings or checking account?
Yes.
How much?
I have approximately $1,000.
Okay. And Your Honor, that concludes my testimony.
You have $1,000 in a checking account?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm looking at the affidavit here. It indicates cash $100, a bank $60.
Which one?
This is the affidavit for that you signed.
I have over $1,000 in the bank.
Okay, so. Okay.
Now,
Ms. Fowler, based on his testimony, it appears as though he has the ability to
Right,
pay.
Your Honor, I'm discussing that with them.
Okay.
the other thing is, she named 2 addresses that I can't return.
Do you have another question for him, Ms. Fowler?
No.
Okay. Do you have any argument?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Fusco?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So the request to reduce the bond will be denied based on the testimony of the defendant. Good morning, sir. Please tell me your name.
Calvin Guadalupe.
All right, Mr. Guadalupe, you're here in 2017 CF 2729AO. You're arrested pursuant to a capias for failing to appear for a plea on April 10th, 2018, and the judge did revoke your bond and set the bond at none. And does he have the public defender in that case? got another case too. They're listed, yeah. And so we've got 2017 CT 171980. It's also a failure to appear, and that's for a plea. And do we know if he has the? Huh? You have a private attorney in that case?
I had it, but I don't know more.
Okay, well, they're still listed as the attorney of record based on what the clerk is telling me, so let's see. Mr. Sigorsky represents you in that case? Does that name sound familiar? Dominic Sigorsky? Okay, well, he is your attorney. So you're going to have to reach out to him.
I don't want them anymore.
Well, then you'll have to file paperwork with the
I don't-
court indicating that you don't want him to represent you. I can give you his phone number and information so that you can contact him, because you have no bond currently in the case. All right, this is Mr. Sigorsky's information and your case number. You're gonna have to contact him in the case. In 2015, or 2020 CF 330480, you are arrested for resisting an officer without violence, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, possession of heroin with intent to sell or deliver, possession of a controlled substance without a prescription, delivery of heroin, possession of cocaine, child abuse without great bodily harm, and 5 counts of drug paraphernalia transportation. And I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. No drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. No contact with any witnesses in the case. That includes the witness in the vehicle as well as the children. And the bond will stay, I'll set the bond on count 1 at 100. Count 2 will stay at 15,000. Count 3 will be 150. Count 4 will be 150. Count 5 will be 150. Count 6, 150. Count 7, I'm staying at the 2,500. And count 8, I'll reduce all of what's listed as the transportation of drug paraphernalia. I'll reduce all of those to 150. All right, good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Roger Tatus.
Do we know what happened to Cabrera Pagan? Okay, so I'm gonna address Mr. Pagan's case. Does he have the public defender? Okay, so, I'm gonna find his refusal to be a waiver. The PD was previously appointed. He failed to appear for pretrial conference in 2019 CF 154238. His bonds are set at 5,000, 1,000, and 500. I'm not going to take any action on the out on release case. You said Tatis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Tatis, you're here in 2020 CF 3298AO. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant in which probable cause was previously found for petty theft with 2 prior theft convictions. And doesn't look like you're gonna qualify for the public defender. Let me ask you some more questions about that. So, do you work, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And then where do you work?
I'm a cook, Outback.
Okay, and then what is your paycheck? Do you get paid every week?
every week. Yes, ma'am.
What is your paycheck?
Like around $500.
Okay, is that after taxes?
No,
So what is your paycheck itself?
with taxes taken out,
Yes,
like 420.
420?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children do you have?
One.
One?
Yes,
How old
ma'am.
are they?
6.
Do they live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so you're gonna qualify for the public defender. I'm gonna represent them or appoint them to represent you. And in 2020 CF 2685AO, it's also a warrant for petty theft, 2 prior convictions, and I'll appoint the public defender in that case as well. So in both cases, you are not to return back to the Walmart Neighborhood Market at 13801 Landstar Boulevard. No contact with any victims or witnesses in the case. And the bonds will stay at 1,000 on each case.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Please tell me your name.
Kenneth Hardy.
All right, Mr. Hardy, you're here in 2020 MO 438. You were arrested for disorderly conduct. I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender. Is there an offer for Mr. Hardy to resolve his case today?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 2 days with credit time served, court costs.
All right, Mr. Hardy, do you want to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll have you sign the plea form.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Hardy, is this your signature at the bottom of the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand everything contained within the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand all the rights that you're giving up by entering the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you on probation anywhere?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I do find a factual basis to accept your plea. I will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. Order that you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one would be appointed for you, sir. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Can you tell me your
Morning.
name? Mr. Maxwell, how you doing today?
All right,
All right. You're here in 2020 MO 439. You were arrested for disorderly conduct, and I do find probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. Is there an offer for Mr. Maxwell?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 2 days with credit time served, court costs.
Mr. Maxwell, you want to get out of jail today?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you signed the plea form?
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Maxwell, is that your signature at the bottom of the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand everything in it?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand all those rights you're giving up?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
You understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I find a factual basis to accept your plea. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. Order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one would be appointed for you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Is Mr. Broadus joining us this morning?
Yes.
How you doing, Mr. Broadus?
Doing just fine.
Okay. You're here in 2020 MM 1929AO. You're arrested for trespass on property after warning. I do find probable cause.
Still playing crazy, right?
I'm gonna appoint the PD. Is there an offer for Mr. Broadus?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 3 days with credit time served, court costs.
You wanna do that, Mr. Broadus? You'll get out today. I'm not gonna revoke your release.
Yeah. Get out today?
You wanna stay? Oh, you'll get out today, yes.
I know when to get me some food.
Okay, so let me fill it out first.
Still playing crazy. Go ahead.
You forget your signature, Mr. Broadus?
What?
Do you want to sign the form so we can do this? I can't do anything unless you sign the form.
We are doing this.
Okay, well, I need you to sign the form. All right, Mr. Broadus, if you're not gonna sign the form, I'm gonna have them take you out there, and then we'll bring you back in when you're ready.
I need
Okay.
a minute for it, man.
All
Still
right.
playing crazy.
Is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And did you understand everything in the plea form?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I find a factual basis to accept your plea. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days with credit for 2 days, time served. You can't go back to the 7-Eleven at 83 East Colonial Drive. You've been trespassed. I'll order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Good luck, Mr. Broadus. I said, I already, yeah.
Good luck to you too.
Thanks, Mr. Broadus. All right, good morning. Can you tell me your name, please?
Earl Tullis.
All right, Mr. Tullis, you're here in 2020 MM 195180. You're arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia. I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. And in 2020 MO 436AO, you're arrested for disorderly conduct. And I find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender. Is there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 5 days with credit time served, court cost.
All right, so to resolve both of your cases, and they'll run concurrent, it's 5 days with credit for 2 days. You wanna do that, Mr. Tullis?
Yeah, cool.
Okay, we'll have you sign the plea form.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Sure. sheets for them. They're not on the,
Hey,
they're not on the.
Excuse me, that might be my son. I just found out my son was in jail. We got the same
Yeah, I
name.
don't, he doesn't have any other open cases.
No, I ain't got no open cases, man.
I don't see it, I mean, they would put it on here, and my guess is, do you have a case number? We can look up and see if it's your son.
It's got to be my son. I know
Okay,
it's
you
not
have the same
me.
name, right?
Earl
Yeah.
James Tullis Jr.
Okay,
12/16/92. That's his date of birth.
okay, well, we'll just make sure, okay?
19 MM 5729.
Two open felony cases. Hell no.
1974,
No, I'm 74.
okay.
My
He pled, that's a closed case. 5729, he pled on 7/9.
ma'am, I ain't had no felony
2019.
since 2010, ma'am.
And that's, you just said it was two open felony
Hell no,
cases.
they ain't trying to give me no damn open felony.
Right, but that's not a felony case number. You gave me an MM case number.
Open felony 19 CF.
Okay, hold on. 1992. Yeah, okay, all right, Mr. Tullis, we just need to make sure that there's no issues going on, okay? So, you wanna accept that offer,
Yeah,
please?
let me get them five and get up out of here.
Okay, you wanna get up out of here, I get
Yeah,
it.
you trying to give me some felony cases? That's yours, and he's gonna be fuck shit in my ear.
Well, she's just trying to protect your rights.
I'm okay, man.
And,
I'm
you
all
know,
right.
she's
I'm
just,
I just wanna get out of
she's
here.
just doing her job.
I just wanna get out of
Right,
here.
she means no harm to you, okay.
Yeah, I wanna get out of here.
I'm gonna tell you something. You wanna do this or
Miss-
don't you? What do you wanna do?
Want to let my hand go so I can
Do you
sign
wanna
this
sign
here?
this paper?
Yes, I do.
You better act like you got some sense. Sign right here.
All right, Mr. Tullis, is that your signature at the bottom of the plea form?
Yes, it is,
Did
ma'am.
you understand everything contained within the plea form?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
You understand all those rights you're giving up by entering the
Yes,
plea?
I do.
Are you on probation anywhere?
No, I am not.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I find a factual basis in both of the cases to accept your plea based on the affidavits. I'll adjudicate you guilty on each case, sentence you to 5 days with credit for 2 days' time served. Those cases and the sentences will run concurrent. I'll order that you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one would be appointed for you, sir. Good luck, Mr. Tullis.
Cool.
Your Honor, Mr. Ton is, medical.
Okay, we'll reset Mr. Ton. All right, good morning. Tell me your name.
Albert Gerald Mullins Jr.
All right, Mr. Mullins, you're here in 2020 MM 1588AO, and the Public Defender's Office filed a motion for release on your own recognizance, or in the alternative to continue the finding of incompetence and place you on conditional release. I have reviewed the motion as well as the attached evaluations, finding that Mr. Mullins is non-restorable. And those were by Dr. Danziger and Dr. Tate. Now, while they're outside of the 6-month period that I can rely on in order to make an incompetency finding, the findings are that it's not restorable. So does the state wish to be heard?
Just, Your Honor, if there was going to be a competency hearing,
Well, there will only be a hearing if you're not going to stipulate that he's incompetent.
then no, Your Honor. And we would just defer to the court's discretion on the motion to release ROR.
Okay, so even though both doctors' reports say that he's not restorable, the state will not stipulate to those findings?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mullins, I am going to release you on your own recognizance. We're not gonna do a competency hearing at any point at the jail. If for some reason the PD wants to file an additional motion when and if an information is actually filed. But I'm gonna release you ROR, Mr. Mullins, and so those conditions of release are gonna be as follows. You're not to have any contact with any victim or witness in the case. So you also can't go back to that 7-Eleven at 486 North Orange Avenue, okay? That's where the offense is alleged to have occurred, okay? No weapons or firearms or any ammunition. You're gonna keep in touch with your attorneys. Show up to any court dates that you need to be at,
Okay.
okay? Where are you gonna be living?
More than likely the mission at this point.
The Mission?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how are you gonna get to court?
More likely by bus.
Okay, all right. So, Ms. Fowler's gonna give you a piece of paper with some information on it. I want you to call that number and speak with whoever's gonna be representing you. Make sure they know how to get in touch with you and you know how to get in touch with them.
Yes,
So I want you to do that within 24 hours of your release. Can you do that for me?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right?
Thank
Good
you
luck.
very much. Have a blessed day. Thank you.
All right, please tell me your name.
Jamel Brown.
All right, Mr. Brown, you're here in 2017 CF 11211. You were arrested pursuant to a capias for failing to appear for trial on June 24th, 2019. The judge did revoke your release and set your bond at none on all 8 counts, or looks like 7 counts, but it shows 8. And so does he have the public defender? Okay, do you know how to get in touch with Regional Conflict Counsel?
Yes.
Okay, so you need to call them, and they're gonna have to file a bond motion for you, okay?
Okay.
All right, please tell me your name.
Gabrielle Birch.
All right, Ms. Birch, you're here in 2020 CF 3316. You were arrested for failing to stop after an accident causing serious bodily injury, leaving the scene of a crash involving damage to property or person of another, resisting an officer without violence, and destroying evidence. And I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. So you can't drive without a valid driver's license. No contact with any victims or witnesses in the case. I am gonna place you in pretrial release. Make sure that you comply with all of their requirements, you don't miss any appointments or phone calls, and you keep in touch with the public defender's office, and you show up to all your court dates, okay?
Yes, ma'am, I will. Okay. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Can you tell me your name, please?
Randolph Chamberlain.
All right, Mr. Chamberlain, you're here in 2020 CF 3286AO. You're arrested for robbery, sudden snatching, and resisting an officer without violence. I do find probable cause for those offenses, and I'll appoint the public defender. You may not return back to 700 Grand Street, the Grand Avenue Park. No contact with any victims, witnesses, or co-defendants. No weapons or firearms or ammunition. And no drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. The bond on count 1 will be set at $2,500. Count 2 will remain at 100. You're out on pretrial release. I am gonna revoke the release and set that at none. Does he have the public defender in that case?
Yes.
Okay, they're gonna have to file a bond motion for you in that case. All right, please tell me your name.
Edwin Dorsalim.
All right, Mr. Dorselin, you're here in 2019 CF 4200AO. The failure to appear for a status hearing on December 13th, 2019. The judge did revoke your release. And does he have the PD? You have a private attorney?
I believe it was Nicole Dickerson.
Nicole Dickerson?
But I was told I have a.
You have
public defender.
Nicole Dickerson on the out on release case? Let me see who you got on the other case. Do you think you have her on both cases?
I think I have a Courtney
The
Daly.
one you're in drug court on.
Courtney Daly, that's who I have on that.
No, it's Miss Dickerson.
Oh, Ms. Dickerson?
Okay, so, you need to get in touch with Miss Dickerson. She's gonna have to file a bond motion for you, okay? I'm not gonna take any action on the other case. You do have Miss Dickerson in that case too, okay? All right?
All right.
Good morning.
Good
Can you
morning.
tell me your name, please?
Nicole Dunn.
All right, Ms. Dunn, you're here in 2019 CF 13661. You're arrested for failing to appear for a pretrial conference on March 4th, 2020, and the judge did revoke the bond, set the bond at none. Does she have the PD in both cases? Yeah, it's a misdemeanor failure to appear, and that's in 2019 MM 9940. Okay, you have the PD in both cases. Your bonds are none in both cases at this time, so they're gonna have to file a bond motion in each case for you, okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell me your name, please?
Heather Giannetti.
All right, Ms. Giannetti, you're here in 2019 CF 7013AO. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant, and that's for criminal use of personal identification information, cashing or depositing an item with intent to defraud, grand theft, and uttering a forged instrument. The state did file an information in that case, and they charged you with 3 counts: fraudulent use of personal identification information, uttering a forged check, and grand theft 3rd degree. So based on the warrant, it looks like count 2, it was not filed on. So what I'm going to do is order that you're not to have any contact with any victims or witnesses in the case. You're not to return to any Bank United. And the bond, what I'll do is ROR on, does corrections want me to ROR on count 4 or count 2, which would be the count that the state did not file on?
How many counts were there total?
So 4 counts on the warrant, 3 counts on the information.
Oh, okay. You can ROR it if you want, if you don't, we would.
On count 4 or count 2? Because count 2 is what was not charged.
The one that's not charged.
Okay, so the fraudulent use of personal identification will stay at the 2,500. I'll ROR on count 2, 150 and 150. If for some reason, because I think Jenny does it differently, but previously where she would, because everything goes up, moves up, so.
It does.
However you want, either way, they're all subsidiaries except for count one. Okay.
Okay, so what's your second? And since I can't find that, what happens?
So they move them up? Right, so we'll do, so it's ROR count 4, count 2 will stay at the 150. Makes sense, yeah, okay. All right, good morning. Can you tell me your name?
Veronica Hazelwood.
All right, Ms. Hazelwood, you're here in 2020 CF 3302AO. You're arrested for possession of heroin with intent to sell or deliver, possession of cocaine, delivery of heroin, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, forgery of an altered bank bill note or check draft, possession of drug paraphernalia or transportation of drug paraphernalia, and resisting an officer. I don't find PC for count 5. When I looked up the statute, it's basically that you make it or create it, or, and there's no evidence of any of that.
I didn't,
Well, I don't talk about what you did or didn't
Okay.
do, okay?
yeah.
So, I'm gonna ROR on count 5. No drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. Count 1 will, I'm gonna reduce that to 150. Count 2, 150. Count 3, 150. Count 4, I'm gonna set at 5,000. ROR on count 5. Count 6, 100, excuse me, 150. And then count 7 is 100.
Oh my God.
Thank you. All right, please, up. All right, good morning. Can you tell me your name? Can you tell me your name?
Lonnie Lamb.
Okay. Mr. Lamb, you're here in 2020 CF 3273. You're arrested pursuant to a warrant for 5 counts of fraud impersonation. 5 counts of fraudulent use of credit cards. Count 11 is scheme to defraud, and then counts 12 through 16 are petty theft of 100 or more. And previously, probable cause was found pursuant to the warrant. I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. No contact with any victims, witnesses, or co-defendants. And you cannot go back to the Key Food Supermarket at 624 South Dillard Street in Winter Garden, Florida. Count 1 will stay at 5,000. Count 2, I'll reduce to 150. Count 3, 150. Count 4, 150. Count 5, 150. I'm gonna stay the 2,500 on count 6, reduce count 7 to 150. And count 8, 9, and 10 will be 150. Count 11 will stay at 7,500, and counts 12 through 16 will be reduced to 100. I have an out on bond form, but based on the dates of the offense, he was arrested on February 9th, 2020. The dates of these offenses were alleged to have occurred January 17th, 19th, 25, February 7th, and February 8th, and therefore there's no violation of pretrial release. Now, Mr. Lamb, I can tell you that if you come back and you have a new law offense that is alleged to have been committed after any of these offenses, I will revoke the bonds. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell me your name, please?
Horace Lewis.
Mr. Lewis, you're here in 2020 CF 3287. You were arrested for principal to robbery, sudden snatching, and battery. And I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You may not go back to 700 Grand Street, the Grand Avenue Park. No contact with any victim, witness, or co-defendant, and no weapons or firearms or ammunition. And the bond will stay at 1,000 and 100. All right, please tell me your name.
Clarence Oliver.
All right, Mr. Oliver, you're here in 2020 CF 3048AO. You're arrested pursuant to a warrant in which probable cause was found for 2 counts of dealing in stolen property, 2 counts of burglary to a structure, and 2 counts of violation of the Florida Pawn Act. And I'll appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you in that case. So you're not to return back to 1214 South Westmoreland Drive, that traffic engineering sign shop. And you're also not to go back to the Value Pawn at 2105 South Orange Blossom Trail. No contact with any victims or witnesses in the case. And I am gonna stay the bonds at 1,000 on count 1 and 2, and 150 on counts 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're also here in 2020 CF 2645, and that was a warrant, and probable cause was found for violation of, or excuse me, the receiving money from a pawnbroker by false verification, also known as the violation of the Florida Pawn Act. And I'll appoint the public defender in that case to represent you. No contact with any victims or witnesses in the case. Looks like the state did file an information, but the warrant is 1 count. The information charges you with dealing in stolen property and then receiving money from a pawnbroker. So I'm only gonna set the bond on the warrant charge. And so the bond will stay as set in the warrant. I think it's 500, yes. And I also have an out on bond form again. The dates would not permit me to revoke any release. He was arrested on January 26th, seen by a court either that day or the next day. These offenses are alleged to have occurred before that. One in December of 2019, and the other in, I believe, January 20th and 21st, so prior to his being seen by a judge. Do we know why they're giving me these out on release forms with dates where I can't revoke?
I'm not sure, it happens that easily.
Okay, all right. So, I'm not gonna revoke your release because I legally can't. But again, Mr. Oliver, if you come back and you've got multiple cases and you get a new law offense that's committed after you've been seen by a judge, I'll probably revoke the bond there. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, please tell me your name.
My name is James Pettit.
All right, Mr. Pettit, you're here in 2019 CF 17360AO. You're arrested pursuant to a warrant for a violation of pretrial release.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
the judge set your bond on count 1 at 7,500, count 2, 5,000, and count 3, 150. Does he have the public defender? Okay, so the public, if you can't meet that bond, then the public defender will have to file a bond motion before you in that case, to reduce the bond, and I'm not taking any action on the out on release case.
I thought my charges was dropped or something.
Well, you're on pretrial release, so they weren't dropped. All right, good morning. Can you tell me your name, please?
My name is Mark Candy Pierre.
All right, Mr. Pierre, you're here in 2020 CF 3299. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant in which probable cause was found for attempted first-degree murder with a firearm with discharge, shooting into an occupied conveyance, and shooting into an occupied dwelling. And I don't have a form for the public defender. What, are you thinking about hiring your own attorney?
Your Honor, he's getting the PD, public defender.
Okay. I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Count one is a punishable by life felony. Does the state wish to be heard as to bond?
Yes, Your Honor. The defendants were waiting in the apartment complex where the victims were parking their car. When the male victim exited the car, the defendants began firing at the victims. The police found bullet holes in the car where the female victim was located during the shooting, and bullet holes were also found in an apartment that was in the line of fire when they were shooting toward the male victim. 2 9mm projectile casings and a .22 projectile casing were found on the ground near the vehicle. Through investigative means, officers were able to identify 2 suspects, and their identity was confirmed in photo lineups. The defendant was also known to the victims prior to the shooting. There had been an argument with the defendants previously, and the defendants were waiting at the complex for the victims to arrive, indicating the shooting was premeditated. The state argues that there is proof of it or presumption grade and asks that the defendant be held without bond.
Ms. Fowler?
Your Honor, we defer the matter to the court.
All right, I do find proof evident, presumption great. I am gonna hold you at no bond on count one, Mr. Pierre. Count two will be a $10,000 bond. Count three will be a $10,000 bond. No contact with any victim, any witness, or any co-defendant. No weapons, no firearms, no ammunition, no drugs, no alcohol without a valid prescription. And you may not return back to where the offense is alleged to have occurred. If you have a passport at any point if you receive a bond and you're released from the Orange County Jail, if you have a passport, you'll need to surrender that to the clerk's office within 12 hours of your release from the Orange County Jail. If you don't have a passport, you'll have to file an affidavit notarized under oath that you do not own or have a passport. Okay?
All right.
Good morning. Can you tell me your name, please?
Robert Ramos.
Mr. Ramos, you're here in 2019 CF 4302. You're arrested pursuant to a capias for failing to appear for case management conference on October 21st, 2019. The judge did revoke the release and set the bond at none. Does he have the PD? He does. Yes? Okay, you have the public defender. They're gonna have to file a motion to set bond for you in that case. And then you're here in 2020 CF 330780. You're arrested for possession of MDMA and possessing 5 or more identifications of another. And I do find probable cause for those offenses, and I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. No drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. No contact with any victims in the case. And the bond will stay at $1,500 and $100.
Mr. Roberts bonded, Your Honor.
All right, we'll take no action on Mr. Roberts. All right, please tell me your name.
Christopher Lamar Rubin.
All right, Mr. Rubin. You're here in 2020 CF 3305AO. You're arrested for possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver with a weapon, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, possession of cocaine, manufacture of cocaine, possession of cocaine with a weapon, possession of a concealed weapon or a firearm by a convicted felon, and possession of ammunition by a convicted felon. And I do find probable cause and all, do you work?
Yes.
Where do you work?
Lawn service?
Lawn?
Yes, ma'am.
And then how often do you get paid?
Once a week?
And then what's your paycheck?
A week?
Yeah,
Around 500?
500? Do you have any kids?
Oh,
No
ma'am.
kids?
Oh, ma'am.
All right. I am gonna appoint the public defender to represent you, okay? So, no drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription, no weapons or firearms or any ammunition, and no contact with any witnesses in the case. Count 1 will be set at 15,000, count 2, 150, count 3, 150, count 4, 150, count 5, 150, count 6, 150, and count 7, 150. All right, good morning, ma'am. Can you tell me your name?
Jacqueline Scott?
All right, Ms. Scott, you're here in 2020 CF 2566AO. You're arrested for burglary of a dwelling and grand theft third degree pursuant to a warrant, which probable cause was previously found. And I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. So no return back to the victim's residence, as stated in the warrant, no contact with any victim or witness in the case. The bond will stay at 5,000 and 1,000, and you're out on release in 2019 CF 13604AO. I am gonna revoke the release and set the bond at none. At this time, does she have an attorney in that case? Okay. So I'm gonna appoint the public defender to represent you, and they're gonna have to file a motion to set bond for you. Hi, good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Jordan Trent.
All right, Mr. Trent, you're here in 2020 CF 3303AO. You're arrested for possession of MDMA, destruction of evidence, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting an officer without violence. I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender. All right, no drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription, and you may not return back to the storage units at 1310 West Central Boulevard. And the bond will stay at 1,000, 150, 100, and 100. All right, thank you. All right, good morning. Can you tell me your name?
Wall?
Heather?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Wall, you're here in 2020 CF 3269. You're arrested pursuant to a warrant in which probable cause was found for 5 counts of, or excuse me, you've got fraud impersonation as a principal, count 1 and 2, fraud impersonation, and then count 4 and 5 are fraud impersonation as a principal. 5 counts of fraudulent use of credit cards, scheme to defraud, and then the remaining 5 counts are petty theft of $100 or more. And I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you in your case. No contact with any victim, any witness, or any co-defendant. You may not return back to the Key Food Supermarket at 624 South Dillard Street in Winter Garden. Do you work, Miss Wall?
Yes, ma'am, but I've been here for 30 days now.
Huh?
I've already been here for 30 days, so
But not on this case?
not, yes, no, ma'am.
Okay,
When I'm in the free world, yes, ma'am, I work.
okay. You're here on something else?
Yes, ma'am.
Another case?
It's, I thought it was all the same, from my understanding.
It may very well be that they've charged more charges, but, it says something about, she has an out-of-state detainer?
Correct, ma'am.
Huh?
A Texas hold,
Okay, it's not on the face sheet.
it's already been, carried over, taken out. That's
So
why
it's lifted?
It's still a hold, but they
Okay.
took it off as a charge, because they put in the hold as a charge.
Okay. What was that for?
Texas for a parole violation, sale/purchase a child.
A what?
Parole violation, sale/purchase of a child. Is it
Purchase of a child? Okay. All right, so, I gave you the conditions of release. Count 1 will stay at 5,000, count 2, 150, count 3, 150, count 4, 150, count 5, 150, count 6 will stay at 2,500, count 7, 150. Count 8, 9, and 10 are 150. Count 11 will stay at 7,500. Counts 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 will be set at 100. Okay. All right, good morning. Can you tell me your name, please?
Justin Ward.
All right, Mr. Ward, you're here in 2019 CF 13773. You were arrested pursuant to a capias for failing to appear for pretrial on February 26, 2020. The judge did revoke the release and set the bond at none. And does he have the public defender? Okay, so you have the public defender already, and they'll have to file a bond motion for you. Okay?
Okay.
Good morning. Can you tell me your name?
No, Fabian.
Mr. Fabian, you're here in 2020 MO 437. You're arrested for an open container violation. And I do find probable cause. I don't have a form for the public defender. Was there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 2 days with credit time served, court cost.
You want to do that, Mr. Fabian? Get out today. Do you want to resolve your case today?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a credit for time served offer. You want to do that? Would you like to accept the state's offer for credit for time served and you would get out today?
What is it exactly?
Mr. Fabian, you understand what's happening right now?
Yeah,
Okay, who am I?
the judge.
Okay, who's she? Well, you don't need to know her name, but what does she do?
Don't know.
You don't know? Okay. Do you know why you're here?
Yeah, the container.
Okay. Do you know what the plea agreement is that you want to accept?
Yeah,
What is that?
I lead to that if I plead to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have you sign the plea form.
Okay. Over here.
All right, Miss, oh. Is that your signature at the bottom of the plea form?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you understand everything in that plea form?
Yes.
You understand all the rights that you're giving up?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you on probation anywhere, Mr. Fabian?
No.
Okay. Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation?
I'm not
You're not what?
a citizen.
You're not a U.S. citizen? Where are you from?
Haiti.
Okay.
From Haiti.
Well, it says you're a U.S. citizen on your arrest affidavit. How long have you been in the United States?
I don't remember.
Huh?
I don't remember.
Did you lived here your whole life?
No.
You don't remember when you moved here?
No. In the 97s, in the 98, 97, I think.
Okay. Ms. Fowler, I'm not real sure about this one just because but I'm gonna ROR him,
Okay.
okay? So, Mr. Fabian, you're gonna get a court date. You gotta come back to your court date, okay?
Okay.
Are you going to appoint the PD?
Yeah, I'm gonna appoint the public defender. So, I need to make sure if you're not a U.S. citizen that you know any consequences that can happen if you plead to an offense. So, that's why I appointed the PD for you. She's gonna give you a phone number. You need to make sure you show up to your court date, okay?
I'm homeless.
I know, but you're gonna have to show up to your court date. All right, good morning. Can you tell me your name, please?
Forrest Allen Rao.
Do we know what happened to Lavalley?
He's mental health, Your Honor.
All right, we'll reset Mr. Lavalley. And I'm sorry, what was your name again, sir?
Forrest Allen Rao.
Mr. Rao, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Rao, you're here in 2020 MO 440. You're arrested for disorderly conduct. And I do find probable cause. I don't have a form for the public defender. Is there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor,
Guilty.
adjudication of guilt, 2 days with credit time served, court cost.
All right, Mr. Rao, do you want to accept the state's offer?
Yes.
Credit for time served?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll have you sign the plea form.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is that your signature on the bottom of the plea form, Mr. Rao?
Pardon me, ma'am?
Is that your signature on the
Yes,
bottom
ma'am.
of the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and did you understand everything that was contained within the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you understand all those rights you're giving up by entering the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you on probation anywhere?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation?
I'm a U.S. citizen.
Okay. I do find a factual basis to accept your plea. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. I'll order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one would be appointed for you. Good luck, Mr. Rao. Have a good day. Good morning. Can you tell me your name, please?
Anthony Rivera.
All right, Mr. Rivera, you're here in 2020 MO 441. You're arrested for disorderly conduct, and I do find probable cause. And I'll appoint the public defender. State have an offer.
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 2 days with credit time served, court costs.
All right, Mr. Rivera, you want to accept that offer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll have you sign the plea form.
Yeah. Well, let me double check.
All right. Mr. Rivera, is that your signature at the bottom of the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand everything that's contained within the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Understand all those rights you're giving up by entering the plea?
Yes.
Are you on probation anywhere?
No.
You understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, I find a factual basis to accept your plea based on the affidavit in the court file. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. Order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment, sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one would be appointed for you, sir. Good luck.
Well, you-
Joseph Brown is mental health, Your Honor.
All right, we'll reset Mr. Brown. All right, good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Frank Buckley.
All right, Mr. Buckley, you're here in 2020 MM 1931. You're arrested for trespass on property after warning, and I do find probable cause. I don't have a form for the PD. Is there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 3 days with credit time served, court costs, no return to the scene of the trespass.
All right, so that would get you out today, by the end of the day.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to do that, Mr. Buckley?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll have you sign the plea form, please. All right, is that your signature, Mr. Buckley, at the
Yes,
bottom of
ma'am.
the plea form? Did you understand everything contained within that plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand all those rights you're giving up by entering the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you on probation anywhere?
No, ma'am.
You understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I find a factual basis to accept your plea based on the affidavit in the court file. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days with credit for 2 days' time served. No return back to where the trespass signs are, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't have a specific address. It looks like it's that Horizon Park Drive in West Sand Lake, so just
ma'am.
don't go back there, okay? And if, order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good luck.
You too.
All right, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Tell me your name.
Edward Colbert.
All right, Mr. Coward, you're here in 2020 MM 1946. You were arrested for 3 counts of petty theft. And I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender's office. Does the state have an offer?
No, Your Honor, it's enhanceable and there's prior history.
Okay. So, Mr. Coward, the state is indicating that based on your prior history of theft, it's possible they could enhance these to felonies, okay? So I'm gonna order that you're not to return back to the Circle K at 2705 Silver Star Road. No contact with any victims or witnesses in the case. And, I am gonna stay the bond at the 250, 100, and 100. Good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Daniel Trimble Gilman,
All right.
Gilman.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman. You're here in 2020 MM 1950. You're arrested for trespass on property after warning, and I do find probable cause. I'll appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you in your case, and is there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor. Adjudication of guilt, 3 days with credit time served, court costs, no return to the scene of the trespass of the target at 718 McGuire Boulevard.
All right, Mr. Gilman, do you want to accept that offer? You'd get out by the end of the day.
By the end of the day?
I don't control the doors, so, but my guess is by 11:59, you'll get released.
Okay, fair enough. That sounds good.
Okay, is that what you want to do?
Yes.
I'll have you sign the plea form.
Okay, sorry.
All right, is that your signature at the bottom of that plea form?
Say again?
Is that your signature at the bottom of the
Yes,
plea
ma'am.
form? Did you understand everything contained within the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand all those rights you're giving up by entering the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you on probation anywhere?
Negative.
Okay. You understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation.
Okay.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you understand? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I do find a factual basis to accept your plea based on the affidavit in the court file. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days with credit for 2 days' time served. You can't go back to the target at 718 McGuire Boulevard. Abide by that trespass. If you go back, probably gonna get arrested again.
Okay.
Order that you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you, sir.
Fair
Good
enough.
luck. Good morning.
Good morning, Your
Can you tell
Honor.
me your name?
Kenneth Wright.
All right, Mr. Wright, you're here in 2020 MM 1947 AO. You're arrested for trespass on property after warning and resisting an officer without violence. And I do find probable cause for those offenses. And I don't have a form for the public defender. Does the state have an offer?
Yes, Your Honor. Adjudication of guilt, 5 days, credit time served, court cost. No return to the scene of the trespass at Brooks Brothers.
Mr. Wright, you don't have any prior criminal convictions.
No, I was just tired last night.
Okay, so what
I'm
I'm
go-
saying, okay, I don't want you to mess up your record today, okay?
I understand.
Okay. So, and it appears as though your wife is worried about you.
Well, I went through,
Well, I don't want you to talk, I'm just letting you know that, like, if pretrial release spoke to your wife. She says you haven't been home in over a week and she's worried.
she doesn't know any of this.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna order you not to go back to the Brooks Brothers, okay? That's at 4200 Conroy
Sure.
Road,
Mm-hmm,
Suite K296.
mm-hmm.
No contact with any victims or witnesses at that location. I'm gonna release you on your own recognizance. I'm gonna appoint the public defender, too.
I'm an attorney.
Okay. Well, you can always represent yourself,
Yes, ma'am.
but so a judge downtown will make the decision whether or not you're
sorry.
competent to do that, okay?
Sure.
So I think it's important that you have somebody to make sure that they communicate with you how to get to court and when your court dates are, okay?
Very stressful couple of weeks.
Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release you on your own recognizance.
Sure. Thank you.
You're gonna get a court date when you get out.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta show up to the court date.
Okay.
If you can't be there, you've gotta speak with your attorneys way in advance.
Oh, I'll be
okay?
there.
Okay. All right? Call your wife.
I will. Thank you, Your Honor. Done? Thank you very much.
All right, please tell me your name.
Naquisha Michelle Jackson.
All right, Ms. Jackson, you're here on a Seminole County warrant. And the judge in Seminole County did set your bonds at $8,000 and $3,000 on 4 counts. And so if you're able to bond out, you can bond out. If not, then Seminole County will have 24 hours pursuant to our administrative order to come and pick you up, okay? If they don't do that within the time frame, you'll come back before a judge here, okay? If you haven't bonded out. Oh, okay, well, all right,
That's it.
that's it. All right, please tell me your name.
Juan Mejia?
All right, sir, you're here on an out-of-county warrant out of Jackson County. And Jackson County, the judge did set your bond at none. And so Jackson County will have 72 hours pursuant to our administrative order. That does not include weekends or holidays. So if Jackson County does not pick you up within that time frame, you'll come back before a judge here, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Ms. Law refused, Your Honor.
Okay, she's been reset a couple times. So yesterday was mental health. And 3/9 was mental health. So what I'm gonna do. Is she back there?
She is not.
Okay. I'm gonna appoint the PD. Was there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt of 3 days with credit time served, court cost.
All right, so, Ms. Fowler, do you think somebody can go talk to Ms. Law and let her know that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we'll give her one more chance. See if she wants to resolve her case. And I'll reset it for tomorrow.
Mr. Melendez Cruz is downtown court.
Okay. He was downtown yesterday, too. All right. We'll reset him again. Well, hold on, I don't know if the PD wants to, if I appoint the PD, you wanna waive his appearance. And I would stay the bond and.
We can, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'll appoint the public defender on Mr. Melendez Cruz in 2020 CF 30478O, and they're waiving his appearance. He's charged with grand theft third degree by a warrant, and so no return back to the Home Depot at 6130 East Colonial Drive, no contact with any victims or witnesses or co-defendants. And the bond will stay at the 500 as set in the warrant.
Ms. Ramos is refusal.
That's the Oppenheimer Ramos, or?
Yes, Your
Okay. All right. So yesterday was medical, today refusal. We're not gonna resolve the batteries, so I'm gonna appoint the public defender, in 2020 MM 1911 AO. Do I have another?
It's an endorsement, the other one.
Okay, and the other one is 2020 MM 676 AO, and the bondsman came off the bond. And then, okay. So, Ms. Fowler, do you wanna waive her appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so, in 2020 MM 1911, no contact with any victims or witnesses, no weapons or firearms or any ammunition. And no return back to the McDonald's at 8475 South Orange Blossom Trail. The bond will stay at 500. In the other case, what is her bond in that, it's $500 bond?
Yes.
So so that bond will just remain at the $500. I don't know anything about the facts of that case. Was she seen by a judge at IA?
She's actually out on bond, so she has a fact for it, but the bonds just came off her before she was seen in the initial hearing.
But she never saw a judge on that? Yeah, let me look it up.
She was saw by Judge Carter.
Okay. Okay, so there were a bunch of conditions of release that Judge Carter did at initial appearance. Okay, I'm not gonna revoke any release, I'm just gonna reinstate, or it's already, she already has the bond at the 500, I'm not taking any action on that. Is Miss Washington coming?
She also refused, Your Honor.
Nobody wants to come see me. All right. I'm gonna appoint the public defender. Was there an offer for the trespass in 2020 MM 1897?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt and just a time served offer, court costs, no return to the scene of the trespass.
Okay. Ms. Fowler?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, will you go talk to her?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll reset her for tomorrow. Yesterday was mental health, and maybe she just needs another day to. All right, so I have a 33-day motion filed by Eugene Stylianopoulos for Austin Kyle Tweed in 2019 CF 17362AO.
Yes, Your Honor, there was a notification of non-filing on March 10th of 20.
All right, that will be granted. All right, 2019 CF 14583AO Dante Leonard Jones.
Yes, Your Honor, on March 10th, there was an information filed, filing ID 104624638.
All right, that will be denied. 2019 CF 16112AO Dante Leonard Jones.
Yes, Your Honor, on March 10th, there was a notice of non-filing.
Oh, wait. Wait, I have a motion for ROR.
There was
Oh.
attached to that. I
Oh.
don't know why she sent it like
I
that.
don't-
know.
Well, because this is two different cases. I'm so
Oh, that's not-
confused. This is the motion. Do I have an order for Mr. Jones for, because this is a 33-day motion. 16112. I don't know if I have an order for that.
Maybe she sent it by mistake, but it was included,
Right, but I think she attached that because maybe there's no. Ms. Fowler, you're gonna have to get me an order for 19 CF 16112. Dante Leonard Jones. I have a motion and a notice of hearing, but no order. And so, Ms. Fusco was,
On March 10th, there was a notice of non-filing.
that's on 16112,
Mhm.
on March 6th?
March 10th.
March 10th, okay. so that will be granted when I get an order. Okay, so the case that I read for Mr. Jones was 14583. Okay, and that was an information and that was denied. And then now I have another one for him, 2020 CF 378AO.
On March 10th, there was a notice of non-filing.
All right, that will be granted. 2020 CF 1005AO, Johannes Gonzalez.
Yes, Your Honor, on March 10th, an information was filed, filing ID 104618723.
That will be denied. 2020 CF 1865AO, Alexander Glover.
Yes, Your Honor, on March 10th, there was a notice of non-filing.
All right, that will be granted. And I believe that's untimely, but the state filed a notice of non-filing. He's been in 29 days, so. 2020 CF 1800AO, Adolphus Brewer Jr.
Yes, Your Honor, on March 10th, there was a notice of non-filing.
All right, that will be granted, although it's untimely and the defendant's been in 31 days. The state did file a notice of non-filing. 2019 CF 9502AO, Stephen A. Karstensen.
Yes, Your Honor, on March 10th, there was a no information notice.
That will be granted. 2020 CF 1353AO, Artavius Antone Benton.
Yes, Your Honor, on March 10th, an information was filed, filing ID 104658104.
That will be denied. I've got finally, 2020 CF 1817AO, Vincent Gunoon.
Yes, Your Honor, on March 10th, there was a no information notice.
All right, that will be granted. All right, so do y'all want to, what is our numbers?
One more thing, Your Honor, I don't know if Henry Rivera Carrasquillo, that was that city prosecutor case from yesterday that we talked about resetting.
I didn't reset it. I said I was taking no action, and the PD needed to refile the motion and notice the
Okay.
city properly.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry.
I don't have a motion or note, I don't,
And I spoke with the attorney, he will resolve it.
okay. All right.
We have about 22 now.
Okay, so we have 22. Do you guys want to come back in 45 minutes?
We do an hour?
That's fine. Okay. On the record, it's March 11th, 2020. This is Judge Wish, courtroom 1, session 2. Can I have the parties announce themselves for the record, please?
Elaine Fusco, State Attorney's Office.
Letitia Follow with the Office of Public Defender.
All right, and then I received the order from Ms. Fowler for Mr. Jones in 2019 CF 16112AO, and I can't remember, was that intended to be granted?
It was granted.
Huh?
It was granted.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I will grant that. All right, good morning. Tell me your name.
Tomás Abreu.
Okay, Mr. Abreu, you're here in 2018 CF 2619AO. It's a violation of probation warrant, and the judge did set your bond at none in the case. And I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. You'll see Judge Whitehead in that case in a couple days for your arraignment. And then in 2018 CF 17136AO, you were arrested pursuant to a capias. The state did file an information, and a judge did find probable cause for petty theft with 2 prior theft convictions. And so you're not to return back to the Walmart at 3838 South Cimarron Boulevard. No contact with any victims or witnesses at that location, and the bond will be set at 25, or stayed at 2,500 as set in the capias. And I'll appoint the PD in that case too, if I didn't say it. All right, please tell me your name.
Elizabeth Adams.
All right, Ms. Adams, you're here in 2020 CF 3315AO. You're arrested for possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. No drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. I am gonna stay the bond at 1,000 and 100 with random urinalysis through pretrial release. All right, good morning, tell me your name.
Conrad Brown.
All right, Mr. Brown, you're here in 2020 CF 3225AO. You're arrested pursuant to a warrant for robbery with a firearm, grand theft, and aggravated assault with a firearm. And I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. This is a punishable by life felony as to count 1, and does the state wish to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor, may I approach?
Sure.
I have a supplemental report with the draft that I've already provided the public defender.
Okay. Well, it's gonna take me some time to read this.
victim was in the back seat of the defendant's car when the defendants pulled a black and silver handgun and demanded everything he had. The victim gave the defendant his wallet with cash ID and a Cash App card, and the defendant used the child locks then to keep him in the car to take him home to get additional money. The victim was continuously saying, "Don't kill me." When they arrived at the victim's home, a 911 call was made and the defendants fled. Later in the supplement, a YouTube video was produced showing the defendants in the car described in the arrest affidavit, and they were holding guns. So a search warrant was then executed by law enforcement, and 2 handguns were located in the car described in the arrest affidavit. Police are also requesting video surveillance footage from the 2 scenes. The state argues that there is proof evident or presumption great and asks that the defendant be held without bond.
Do we know when the YouTube video was made?
I'm not sure that it says the date on it.
It doesn't. I'm just trying to learn more information here. So I don't know when the video was made and when they were holding firearms. And if those were the same firearm, is that the same firearm that the victim says that he was robbed with? He says it's a black and silver handgun. Then there's a search warrant. And this happened back in January. Now we've got a search warrant in March. And the search warrant says a black Glock gun box. Well, it's not described as a Glock at any point by the victim. This is a black and silver handgun with a clear extended magazine. And a gray Serpa holster. It's not related to any facts in the warrant. And a Glock 19 magazine. Ms. Fowler?
Your Honor, we just asked the court to use its discretion in setting bond.
Okay, so I've reviewed the warrant and the supplemental information. Some of it relates to January 20th. And it talks about pretty much the same information that's in the warrant. A little bit more information, but I don't think that shows proof evident presumption great. And then we get to another supplement, sworn supplement, that talks about from January, says the victim communicated with the suspect Conry, which is the other co-defendant, via Snapchat. And that he also showed law enforcement a video from YouTube, which shows the suspects armed with what appear to be firearms. And then there's a warrant that's executed 3 months later. And in the warrant, none of the victims' items are found. There's a gun box and a magazine for a Glock, but there's nothing related to a Glock in the affidavit. I don't find proof evident presumption great, based on the information provided by the state. Before I get to a bond, Mr. Brown, listen to me carefully. You're not to have any contact, directly or indirectly, with the victim or your brother. Okay? So that means no contact directly or indirectly, meaning you can't send messages through any social media. You can't have anybody else communicate with any of those people. If you violate any of those conditions of release, communicating or having anybody else communicate through a third party, it will be a violation of your release conditions. And your bond can be revoked, and you can be held at no bond. You're not to return back to where the offense is alleged to have occurred. The supplement says that it was alleged to have occurred at the 7-Eleven or Mobile Zone 32 at 3860 Old Winter Garden Road. You're also not to go to the victim's residence, if you know where that is. You're not to go to the residence, within 500 feet of the residence. No weapons, no firearms, no ammunition. If you have any weapons or any firearms or any ammunition, you need to surrender that to your local law enforcement agency within 6 hours of your release from the Orange County Jail. No drugs and no alcohol without a valid prescription. Your bond on count 1 will be set at $35,000. Count 2 will stay at $2,500 and count 3 will stay at $10,000. Do we have a face sheet? It's blank for Mr. Conry Brown. All right, please tell me your name.
Conry Brown.
All right, Mr. Brown, you're here in 2020 CF 3231AO, and you're arrested pursuant to a warrant in which probable cause was found for robbery with a firearm, grand theft, and aggravated assault with a firearm. And I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. And my guess, Ms. Fusco, is you have the same information to supplement the court file with for Mr. Conry Brown?
Yes, Your Honor, we would just ask the court to rely on the same affidavit and supplement as submitted previously in the light most favorable to find proof evident or presumption great.
Okay, so it's the same finding. I don't find that that information proves proof evident presumption great for the same reasons that I stated in the co-defendant's case. So, Mr. Brown, I'm gonna tell you everything that I told who I assume to be your brother.
ma'am.
So, no contact with the victim or your brother.
All right.
That means direct or indirect contact. So you can't communicate through any third party.
Okay.
So you can't send messages to anybody through another person. You can't send messages to anybody through social media or any application, anything like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And if you have contact and you violate that condition and I found out about it, or the judge who's assigned to the case finds out about it, chances are they're gonna revoke the release and set the bond at none.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's very important that you follow that condition,
Appreciate
okay?
it. Thank you.
No weapons or firearms or any ammunition. If you own any weapons, any firearms, or any ammunition, and you're released from the jail, then you need to surrender them within 6 hours of your release to your local law enforcement agency. So that's weapons, firearms, and ammunition, okay? No drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. You're not to return back to the 7-Eleven mobile gas station at 3860 Old Winter Garden Road, nor may you go to the victim's residence or within 500 feet of the victim's residence. If you know where that is, you're not to go there. I am gonna set your bond on count 1 at $35,000. Count 2 will stay at $2,500 and count 3, $10,000. Good morning. Tell me your name, please. All right, Mr. Gonzalez, you're here in 2020 CF 3309AO. You're arrested for possession of heroin, attempted destruction of evidence. I find probable cause for count 1, not count 2. Merely just throwing an item on the ground is not destruction of evidence. So, ROR on count 2. No drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. I'm gonna stay the bond at the 1,000. please tell me your name, sir.
Derek Jackson?
All right, Mr. Jackson, you're here in 2018 CF 10834. It's a failure to appear for a trial on January 7th, 2019. Then the judge did revoke the release and set the bond at none. Does he have the public defender? Okay, you have the public defender, so they're gonna have to file a bond motion for you. I can't change the capias, okay?
Christina Langley, bond, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll take no action. All right, please tell me your name.
Stephen Marzola?
All right, do we have a face sheet? It's blank. All right, Mr. Marzola, you're here in 2020 CF 3313AO. It's possession of heroin. And I do find probable cause. And I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in that case. No drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. The bond will stay at 1,000. And there's a violation of probation in 19 CF 4180AO based on the new law offense. I find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender. Your bond will be stayed at none at this time, and you'll see Judge Whitehead in a couple days for your arraignment. And looks like the PD can file any motions to set bond for you in that case, okay? All right, please tell me your name.
Gregory Palermo.
All right, Mr. Palermo, you're here in 2020 CF 3310AO. You were arrested for possession of a controlled substance, and I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defenders. Well, I don't have a form. Are you gonna hire Ms. Bone?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
All right. And so in that case, the bond will stay at 2,500. And no drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. You're supposed to start random urinalysis. I'm gonna include that as a condition of release in this case too.
Yes, ma'am.
And in 2020 MM 1955AO, it's possession of drug paraphernalia, and I find probable cause, and you're gonna hire Ms. Bone again in that case too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so, the bond will stay at 500. I'm not gonna include the random urinalysis in that case, but I don't know what will happen with that case. So, looks like Ms. Bone's been working hard for you, getting you bonds every time they're getting revoked.
Yes, ma'am.
So, probably gonna make her a little upset. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm not gonna revoke your release.
Thank
You need to call Miss Bone immediately. As soon as you, I don't know if you'll be able to bond out, but as soon as you get out, you need to call her, you need to tell her what happened. If you've got a drug problem, you need to get help.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, please tell me your name.
Anthony Bimbo.
Bubo? Okay, Mr. Bubo, you're here in 2015 CT 9133AO, and you failed to appear for your sentencing. And you didn't have an attorney, so I'm gonna appoint the public defender. It looks like you did enter a plea way back when with Judge Martinez, and then you didn't show up to court, so, and there was nothing on the plea form as to what the agreement was. Do you know what it was? Or was it just were you trying to get your license?
I was just trying to get my license.
Did you get your license?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. Do you want to try to resolve your case today?
Yes.
You do? I'm just gonna look at your driving record real quick, okay?
Okay.
Because I don't want you to do anything today that you might have negative consequences for. So this would habitualize him. So you have a conviction in October of 2018,
Yes, ma'am.
and you've got a conviction on March 31st of 2015, which if you wait a little while to resolve the case, it's not gonna habitualize you, because you'd be outside the 5 years, okay? Because if you get three driving while license suspended cases, or whether they're adjudicated guilty or withheld, in 5 years, you're gonna lose your license for 5 years. So I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to be able to try to get your license back. And Judge Martinez is no longer a judge here. He retired. Are you living locally?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you live?
In the Pine Hills area, 6909 Waterhall Boulevard, Orlando, Florida, 32818.
Okay, why don't you write that address down? So that the clerk has it, and that way, the public defender has it too. And, I'm gonna give you a bond. Mr. Bubo, you've got to show up to court. If you don't, and you come back here, you're certainly, if you get a no bond, and I'm not gonna give you a bond, Judge Carter's not gonna give you a bond, chances are no other judge is gonna give you a bond.
Okay.
You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm gonna set your bond at $1,500. And now you have the public defender. You're gonna get, You're gonna have a court date when you get out. Gotta show up to court. April 17th, 9 a.m. And tell your attorney you'll be outside the 5 years for that other conviction back in 2015.
Okay.
And then maybe you can resolve the case then, okay?
Okay.
Don't disappoint me, okay? All right, please tell me your name. Oh, hi. Tell me your name.
Santiago Sanchez?
Okay, do we know what happened to Johnson?
No, Santiago Sanchez.
No, I know. Hold on.
Mr. Johnson bond, Your Honor.
All right, we'll take no action on Mr. Johnson.
Ms. Lamb, also bonded.
Mr. Phillips bonded, I think.
Phillips also bonded, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Sanchez. Santiago Sanchez? Okay. All right, Mr. Sanchez, you're here in 2019 CT 76220AO. You are arrested pursuant to a capias for failing to appear for your trial. And the judge did revoke the release and set the bond at none. Does he have the public defender?
Yes.
Okay. So, did you want to try to resolve your case today, Mr. Sanchez?
Please, I'm really trying to. I've been having this for 3 years and just trying to, like, I've been paying fines ever since, like, 19 years old. I'm just trying to go to college or something instead of just paying.
Okay, well, I don't
fines.
want this to negatively, if you plead to this offense, it looks like you just pled back in November, so you have that one, then you've got one in 2017, in December of 2017. So this would, if you pled to this, then it would habitualize him. Why didn't you go to court?
I don't have the same address right now. I go to every court. There's no problem. I can get a ride. If I knew about the court date,
So you're saying you did not know
Like-
that you had a court date?
if they had the address I currently have, my parents
No,
gave me
my
the.
question is, you you're saying you did not have notice of the court date?
No, because the letter gets sent to Moss Point Court. That's my parents' address. I live in 355 Woodland Creek. I did not know about it. I didn't have no issue going to court. I could have just showed up. I didn't ask for all this.
Okay, so. So what's your address?
355 Woodland Creek Boulevard.
What was Moss Point?
That was my last home.
Okay, why didn't you change your address?
I have already put it in the system. It should have just showed up there in that address. I don't know. I didn't have no issue going to court. I always have a ride. I could always get an Uber.
So when you got released from the jail, they gave you a court date of 11/5/2019. And then your attorneys filed a written plea of not guilty, so you didn't show, so that you didn't have to show up. And then on 11/5, there was a notice given to the public defender and sent to your old address, which you did not change, telling you about the court date in November, or pretrial conference in November. And then that's what you failed to appear for. And then you got arrested. And you were released. And then you went to court. And it was set, you were present, not present. And you were given a court date of January 8th, 2020. And then on January, you were not present, the case was continued. So it seems like the court continued the case multiple times. My chances are the PD's office was not able to get in touch with you. And then there was a motion to quash the capias. And Judge Shoemaker denied that. And the motion indicated that that you had a ride to court that failed to bring you to the courtroom, and that you couldn't drive your own vehicle. My guess is that they're now in regular communication with you, and that you're a month away from receiving your license.
Yes.
Did you get your license back?
I just need to do my class Saturday. I mean, my probation after that, and I'm able to just file so I can get my license.
All right, well, unfortunately, Judge Shoemaker did not quash the capias despite the motion, and so I'm not gonna reach out to him because I don't think he's gonna want me to give you a bond. I think he wants you to show up to court, and that's the only way it's gonna happen. So, you're gonna have to have the public defender file a bond motion, or, and then we're gonna give you a date so that
April 6th at 1 p.m.
All right, you gotta keep in touch with your attorneys and make sure everybody knows how to get in touch with you. tell me your name.
Rosalind Mitchell.
Okay, it's Dempsey.
Mr. Dempsey's behavior, Your Honor.
All right, I'm gonna appoint the public defender, in 2020 MM 1954AO. And Ms. Fowler, do you wanna waive?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, he's not, I find probable cause for the petty theft. He's not to return to 7-Eleven at 1 North Roslyn Avenue. No contact with any victims or witnesses at that location. And the bond will stay at $250. All right, Ms. Mitchell, you're here on an out-of-county warrant out of Okaloosa County, and the judge did set your bond at none. And so Okaloosa County will have 72 hours pursuant to our administrative order to come and pick you up. Do you know which county will pick her up first? Because she's got another one from Walton. All right, well, either way, the Walton County warrant set at none too. So either county will have 72 hours to come and pick you up, with not including weekends, okay, or any holidays. We got the weekend coming up. So it may be Monday, not sure, but, because clock starts ticking now, okay? So, it'll either be Okaloosa or Walton County, okay? If not, you'll come back before a judge here,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, please tell me your name.
Willie James Bell.
All right, Mr. Bell, you're here in 2020 MO 442AO. It's, you were arrested for camping in a prohibited place. I do find probable cause. I don't have a form for the public defender. Is there an offer for Mr. Bell?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 2 days with credit time served, court costs.
All right, and I believe he has two. He was arrested on the 10th. Okay, do you want to do that?
Yes.
Okay. We'll have you sign the plea form, okay? All right, is that your signature at the bottom of the plea form, Mr. Brown? Is that your name? Mr. Bell, sorry.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand everything contained within the plea form?
Yes,
Do you understand all the rights you're giving up by entering the plea?
yes,
Are you on probation anywhere?
no,
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation?
yes,
Okay. I do find a factual basis to accept your plea. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. Order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021.
okay.
If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Good luck, Mr. Bell.
Mr. Dean, his behavior, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll reset. Is there an offer for Mr. Dean?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 4 days with credit time served, court costs, no return to the scene of the trespass.
Okay, so I'm gonna appoint the PD. Ms. Fowler, you wanna talk to Mr. Dean?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. We'll reset him for tomorrow. All right, tell me your name.
Nelson Ivan Figueroa.
All right, Mr. Figueroa, you're here in 2020 MO 444AO. You're arrested for camping in a prohibited place. I do find probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. Is there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 2 days with credit time served, court costs.
Mr. Figueroa, do you want to accept the offer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right, is that your signature at the bottom of the plea
Yes,
form?
ma'am.
Let me finish my sentence. Did you understand everything contained within the plea form?
Yes,
You understand all the rights you're giving up by entering the plea?
Yes,
Are you on probation?
No.
You understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I find a factual basis to accept your plea based on the affidavit. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. Order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment, sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you, sir.
All right.
All right, good luck.
I'll go home today?
Yep. All right, please tell me your name, sir.
David Green Howard.
All right, Mr. Green Howard, you're here in 2020 MO 44580. You're arrested for camping in a prohibited place, and I do find probable cause. I don't have a form for the public defender. Do you want to resolve your case today?
Yes.
Okay, is there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 2 days with credit time served, court cost.
So he has 1 day, he has 2 days, okay. So, you would get out today, Mr. Green Howard, you wanna do that?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have you sign the plea form. All right, is that your signature at the bottom of the plea form?
Yes.
All right, did you understand everything contained within the plea form?
Yes.
You understand all those rights you're giving up by entering the plea?
Yes.
Are you on probation anywhere?
No.
Okay, you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation. Okay, I find a factual basis to accept your plea. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. Order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. All right, good luck, sir. All right, tell me your name, please.
Kenneth Nicholas.
All right, Mr. Nicholas, you're here in 2020 MO 446AO. It's a camping in a prohibited place, and I do find probable cause. I don't have a form for the public defender. Is there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 2 days with credit time served, court cost.
All right, do you want to do that, Mr. Nicholas?
Time served?
Time served. All right, I'm not gonna revoke your release. You know you have a court date coming up, right?
I didn't know what date it was. I
All
didn't.
right, well, I'm gonna tell you. Don't miss it.
Okay.
So the PD represents you in that case,
Yes.
and you have an arraignment on March 25th at 1 PM. I'm gonna write it down for you.
Oh, I already wrote it down.
Okay. So 1 PM in courtroom 4C as in cat, downtown courthouse. All right?
Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Nicholas, is this your signature at the bottom of the plea form?
Yes, it is.
All right, did you understand everything contained within the plea form?
Yes.
You understand all those rights you're giving up by entering the plea?
Yes.
You on probation anywhere?
No.
You understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation.
Yes.
Okay. I find a factual basis to accept your plea based on the affidavit in the court file. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. Order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Don't miss court.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, come on forward. Tell me your name.
Agustin Jeremiah Camacho.
All right, Mr. Camacho, you're here in 2020 MM 234AW. You're arrested for trespass on property after warning, and I find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you in your case. And was there an offer? I think I reset this. I don't know.
Yes, Your Honor, adjudication of guilt, 4 days with credit time served, court costs, no return to the scene of the trespass at 5100 Glasgow Avenue.
So 4 days, how much credit?
Yes, 2 days, ma'am.
Okay, so you'll spend another day with us? Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
you wanna do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm not gonna revoke your release. You have a court date coming up. When
I know.
is it?
I don't remember when it is, but I was supposed to sign with the bondsman for my last charge 3 weeks ago, but I was busy at Aspire and South Seminole in the hospital, ma'am.
Okay, well, I'm not revoking it, but I'm just gonna tell you, don't miss court, and I'm gonna give you your court date.
Well, my wife said she was gonna bail me out today anyway, but I would.
Well, you're pleading to the charge that you got arrested on, so that case is gonna be over.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's a hold on you because of the out on release case. You have an arraignment coming up, and the PD does represent you in that case on March 19th at 1 PM in 4D as in dog.
March 19, 4D.
She's writing it down for you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't show up to that court date, chances are you're gonna have no bond.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
I'm good. I'll be
All
there.
right.
May I say something, ma'am?
Well, what do you wanna, what is it that you wanna talk about? The facts?
Oh, I didn't
of
want to talk. I
anything?
just wanted to make a statement that I went away for 18 years, so this little stuff is absolutely nothing to me. That's all. You have a great day.
Hold on, we're not done yet.
Oh. I thought we were doing.
Well, if you keep racking up nothing charges, you're gonna spend a little more time in jail probably.
It's okay.
Well, I mean, you spent 18 years in prison. Don't you want your freedom?
All my kids are grown. I'm good. Plus, I'm a grandfather to 3, and it's still
Well, then
really
you wanna
little.
spend time with your grandkids, Mr. Camacho. Is this your signature at the bottom of the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand everything contained in the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Understand all the rights you're giving up by entering the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you on probation anywhere?
No, ma'am.
You understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, the plea will subject you to deportation.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I find a factual basis to accept your plea based on the affidavit in the court file. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 4 days with credit for 2 days' time served. You cannot go back to 5100 Glasgow Avenue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you've been trespassed from there. You cannot go back there. If you go back, you're going to get arrested.
That's the reason why I went back right after I got trespassed.
Okay, well, you can't go back there,
Yes,
okay?
ma'am.
So I'll order you pay your court costs by March 11th, 2021. If you'd like to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court, you must do so in writing within 30 days. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, please tell me your name.
Rita Scipio.
All right, Ms. Scipio, you're here in 2020 MM 1923. You're arrested for battery. And I do find probable cause, and I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you in your case. And my guess is the state does not have an offer today.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So, no weapons, no firearms, and no ammunition, no contact with any victim or witness in the case. You're not to return back to do you live at that address, the 5442?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Well, the victim says that she allowed you to stay there because you didn't have a place to stay.
Okay.
And that
I need her to,
you're not allowed to stay there. So what I'm gonna do is, you're not to return back there. You can go back one time with law enforcement to get your personal belongings from the residence, but you must be with law enforcement. You cannot go back there without law enforcement, do you understand? Once you get your things, you cannot go back there. Is that a yes, that you
Yes.
understand? Okay. And the bond will stay set at the $500. All right, anything else? All right, we'll be in recess until tomorrow.